Test, 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 test. Okay, hold on. Let me do one thing. All right, theme song in 3, 2. And welcome back to Late Night Lately, the late night show for the website, cpluscomedy.com. I tried to take a breath. You know the thing. Go there. It's website. Go there. Episode 44. Yeah, I had to think. I had to look at that. Now I don't even know. Welcome back into the podcast. Here we are. Another week of late night shows in. I am currently looking for an email for something that is happening in less than an hour. Just to triple check and make sure that I have the right time. It has nothing to do with Late Night Lately. It has something to do with one of the podcasts. Let's just pretend it's not this one. It's not LinkedIn Logs. So, is it an interview? It is. That will land on the Constitutionals. Welcome back in. It's been another week of late night shows. We are steadily moving towards the election. I was going to say, what is it called? But we all know what it's called. The election's on its way. Extra, the election's here. And as hosts like Jimmy Kimmel did this week, as Jimmy Fallon, and why do I sound so different? Is it the headphones? The ear cups have expired. They've the inner foam is showing, so I do need to replace these. They took their Seth Meyers. They took their breaks. Kimmel took his break this week. The NBC host last week. And we are moving towards an election night that is going to be, we'll talk about in a second, going to have live shows. We won't get results, more than likely, that day. And whether you like it or not, people are going to be talking about it. But it's been a busy week. We've had town halls. We've had former presidents saying that, particular former president saying that he admires Hitler. It's just, anyway. It has been a long, busy week. I don't know if people can keep up with it all. I know I didn't. I barely had time to watch late night this week. Every day was packed full of worrying. But what a treat. What a treat we had for shows like After Midnight that brought in people like Nicole Byer, Mateo Lane, and Sashir Zameda. That show works. It works, period. But it works on all cylinders when they bring in people that know each other. Kurt Brownohler was on one. Matt Rogers. No, excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm looking at full episodes. Also, this was very confusing. To go to After Midnight's YouTube page and to see full episodes uploaded. Not only full episodes that were that are at minimum 2 or 3 weeks old. Why is CBS doing this? I think it's because of CBS Premiere Week. They uploaded full episodes of Papa's House, starring Damon Wayans and Damon Wayans Jr. And I guess some other, whatever. Oh, Georgie and Maddie, First Marriage, which I didn't know went back to, which is a spinoff of Young Sheldon, which is a spinoff of The Big Bang Theory. Young Sheldon is a single camera comedy. Big Bang Theory is a multicam. Georgie and Margie's, I don't know the name. Georgie and Margie's First Marriage, I think that's the name of the show. That is now a multicam again. probably because it's cheaper. But also, how long do you think we can milk the Big Bang Theory? And what connection does it have to old Sheldon and his friends? We get a Raj spinoff, and he doesn't, and he grows up in a convent, and he just doesn't talk at all. They think he's a mute, but he actually talks in his head. I'm going to CBS. I'm going to Paramount. I'm pitching that show. Taylor's doing a wonderful job hosting the show, still admirably. I've mentioned this before. They're bringing people back, which is great. Taylor Ortega has made her third appearance. I believe Josh Peck made his second. I don't remember. I don't recall. A lot of people have come back 2 or 3. In the case of Tom Lennon, at least once a week, but multiple times. I would love for them to start bringing in people from the At Midnight crowd, people who popped up on At Midnight. And even throw a bone to Chris Hardwick. I would have brought him back for that for the season premiere. But people who were on At Midnight regularly too should also be back hosting the show. Not hosting, popping up on the panel. That's easy money. Sure, bring in people like Taylor Ortega, who weren't around working at that level when At Midnight was a thing. But you have to bring back old panelists too. I was trying to find At Midnight panelists, but it wasn't on Wikipedia.
It wasn't on Wikipedia.
Also on IMDb, it's just called Midnight. Steve Agee, Ron Funches, Arda Marin, Doug Benson, Moshe Kasher. I think he's been on one episode with he and his wife. Jen Kirkman, Jonah Ray, Nikki Glazer. I mean, come on. Kyle Kinane, the voice of Comedy Central himself. Couldn't think of a thing. There's a lot of I'm looking at the IMDb page for what they call Midnight. But there's a lot of YouTube people on here. And people who I'm sure still have decent careers. But at the time, in between 2013 and 2017, when At Midnight was on, they must have been huge. I've seen Grace Helbig, Mamrie Hart. God, these are names I haven't thought of in so long. These are people you probably subscribe to, follow on Instagram, and you just forgot about. Oh no. Now I'm looking at I'm not gonna say who, because that will be mean. Because I thought this person had fallen off a cliff. But I am looking at somebody's Instagram page who has over 1 million followers and is getting a considerable amount of likes comparatively, like tens of thousands of likes. Okay, so good for this person. That's what I'm saying. Bring him back. Let's go the Sklar brothers. Ooh, Chris D'Elia. You forgot 8 episodes? Kristen Shaw. Have the cast of What We Do in the Shadows, you know? That's fun. Brett Gelman. Alice Wetterland. I talked to her. Gina, you sure? Oh my gosh. This is... Come on. Anyway. There's that. Let's go to Late Night with Seth Meyers. He's had a busy week. You know, I also noticed on their YouTube page, on Late Night's YouTube page, it has been... I think this is like a couple of weeks, at least, because I only noticed a couple of weeks ago. Seth Meyers' Late Night page has stopped uploading just the monologues, which were 3-minute videos, but they would get like 1 million views, like 500,000 to 1 million views. and they've been uploading it with whatever first segment. Whatever first segment. I was gonna say desk bit, but they're not usually at the desk. But first desk bit or segment that the show has. So if there's a closer look that night, they'll upload a closer look video, and then the next morning they'll upload. So the closer video will be like 14 minutes, and then they'll upload the next morning the same closer look, but on top of it is the monologue as well as the transition from the monologue to the closer look. And they do the same thing for jokes Seth can't tell. They do the same thing for Back in My Day, for all that stuff. But they no longer have just the video of the monologue, which is, I don't understand that move, but whatever. Steve Martin and Martin Short, because I'm looking at a closer look video, which has 1.6 million views. And then I'm looking at the video they uploaded the next morning, which is the closer look plus the monologue plus the transition. And that has 558,000 views. And it's 5 minutes and 5 seconds longer. 4 seconds. I don't know, count. 5 seconds longer. Four. So you're still getting the same. I know you could put ads in the 20-minute video, whatever, get more money. But it doesn't make sense because then you have two interview pieces with Tom Holland or Lin-Manuel Miranda, and you cut up a 9-minute video into like a 6-minute and a 3:58. But then you have a whole Liam Neeson at 11. It just doesn't make sense to me. Anywho's, Steve Martin, Martin Short. He also had the writer Tim O'Brien on, which I did not see. Wow. The things they carried. We all had to read that book, but I do know that book. I think I own that book still. Juno Temple. Yeah, I didn't sell all the books from schools. I kept some of them. I still have Mouse and Mouse 2. They're great. Is there a third one? I assume there's probably more in that world. Bernadette Peters and Tom Holland. Tom Holland appeared on Late Night, as he usually does. But he also appeared on Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, and apparently, he mentioned in his interview that's the first time that he's been there. Because the last time he was during the pandemic, but he'd never been there. And I'm not going to double check. I spent 5 minutes looking for At Midnight contestants, but I'm not going to double check. Jimmy got a little pop this week because in that same interview with Tom Holland, there was an announcement that Spider-Man 4 is happening. And today it was announced that Spider-Man 4 will be coming out June and summer 2026. I assume summer 2026. So that's really nice. Sam Jackson, Justin Hartley, Sacha Baron Cohen, Brett Goldstein. Meg Thee Stallion. Meg Thee Stallion. It's so interesting when Megan Thee Stallion is probably one of the biggest musical artists right now. She only gets 100. Like, the views aren't that high. Her views are higher than double of Billy Crystal, who's still a big A-lister to me. And then the disparaging numbers, like when you get to Tom Holland, is just insane. Views aren't everything, but whatever. And then there's Stephen Colbert, who gets the most views out of everybody. Boo. He had a big week talking to Maddie Matheson, Anna Kendrick, Senator John Fetterman, Alfonso Cuarón, and others. It wasn't a heavily political week in terms of talking to people. But when he did, he made an impact. He talked to Yulia Navalny, and as I mentioned, Senator John Fetterman, two people who were in the news for the past year. It's smart of him to continue these conversations, especially because he has this platform on CBS and probably has like besides John Oliver, besides the Daily Show, the biggest common late night show, the biggest broadcast late night show. There you go. To have these conversations with people like John Fetterman and Yulia Navalny. Let's go on to the Daily Show, which had where Jon Stewart had an excellent conversation with Tim Walz. I'm about halfway through it. The video is still up. I did not have a chance to watch it this week, but there you go. And then I did watch Michael Costa, very funny guy. I think everybody on the Daily Show is very funny. But he spoke to Fat Joe, and he hosted Michael Costa hosted the show this week. And Ronnie Chang did a piece on J.D. Vance being kind of a dork. But the big star was the Tim Walz interview. All right, now let's move on. Speaking of the Daily Show, they're going live on election night. This comes from the Hollywood Reporter, written by Rick Porter. The Daily Show goes live and long on election night. They're going to do an hour-long episode featuring Ronnie, Jordan, Michael, and Desi, with Jon Stewart as well. And they're going to be doing analysis of the presidential election. I believe they also went live during the 2021. The name is a fantastic name, so very funny, and it's as long as it has to be. The Daily Show presents a live election night special with Jon Stewart. Indecision 2024, nothing we can do about it now. It's going to air on MTV, Paramount Network, TV Land, CMT Pop, and Logo, the Paramount family of networks, alongside Comedy Central. This is a smart thing to do. The biggest issue is there's not going to be a decision on that night. Ever since 2020, there's never going to be a night of decision anymore. I wouldn't say never, unless there's an epic landslide, which I hate saying the word epic. But for the foreseeable set of elections, there will be meticulous counting. Supervising producer Elise Terrell told the Hollywood Reporter before the DNC that the shakeup in the campaign with Vice President Harris replacing Joe Biden at the top of the Democratic ticket had been invigorating for the show and its writers. So with that said, all these live productions coming from The Daily Show in recent weeks, the DNC and then the canceled RNC because the Trump attempted assassination. This has been great for the Daily Show and late night because it has given new life and blood to how these shows work. That's not saying that you should go out and vote for the wrong people just because you like Jon Stewart making fun of them. Don't do that. There was I don't know if I told the story, but I'm pretty sure I've told the story. Again, I went on a date with a young lady who was a woman of color, and I would say pretty progressive, I would say. But as we were ending our date, this is when Trump was running the first time. She said her words were, I hope. No. She didn't say I hope this. She said, but if Trump wins, then Stephen Colbert can make jokes about him every night. And I went, no, thank you. And she also kissed with her teeth. I know I've told this story 100 times before. So no, we don't want that. But I do enjoy these live shows. These for any of them. For what's it called? For Colbert's show, which I still think, he does a good job live. I do think the audience is struggling. And for the Seth show and the Daily Show too, they're great. And comedy is hard and live comedy is hard. We've seen SNL. We've seen bad episodes of SNL, like the season opener, like these last 4. But let's get new blood. Let's get new ways of making jokes in there. Okay, let's move on. to the end of the show. Listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, because I do have an interview in like 30 minutes. Head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where you can see me talk to famous people like this next person that'll be coming out next week at some point. You can also see a video version of this show on youtube.com/cpluscomedy, where you can also see video versions of the other shows, the Constitutionals podcast, the Entertainment Business News podcast, and LinkedIn Logs, which is the Jobs podcast. Follow us on TikTok, subscribe to those shows wherever your podcast. Follow us on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at C Plus Comedy. Be on those platforms at Chad Black White. Thank you so much. Bye.